Hi, my name is Jeremy Brunansky, and you're about to watch a brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This is a weekly show that drops every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. In this show, we cover movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. If this is your first time with us, consider clicking that subscribe button. For everybody who's returning, thank you so much. And as always, if you enjoy any portion of this show, give me that thumbs up button. Let's go ahead and cut now to this week's episode. Good morning. It's Monday morning, which means it's time for another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This is episode 19. And if this is your first time, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoy the content that we have to offer here on this channel. Because every Monday, right here on YouTube, we drop a brand new show at 10 a.m. PST that covers movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. I don't want to take too much more time on this introduction, but this week we've got the Justice League review. Now, this is a spoiler-filled review. Did I mention this is spoiler-filled? This is spoiler-filled. This is a spoiler-filled review. So if you have not seen Justice League yet, you may just want to skip right past that segment and just go to the Before We Conclude segment, which is going to cover what's happening in theaters this coming weekend, what's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray, and finally, my personal favorite segment, Certified Rad. Now we have another very special and time-sensitive Certified Rad segment, and I want to go ahead and thank Jason Inman from DC Comics for assisting us with this week's Certified Rad. Thank you so much, Jason, and I hope everybody watching this is able to actually partake and contribute in this week's Certified Rad, because again, it is time-sensitive. All right, I don't want to take up any more time with this introduction. This is episode 19. You're watching Brunansky's Vlog. Let's roll to the news. Sony has landed the distribution rights for Quentin Tarantino's next film, entitled 9, which is the director's 9th movie, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Link for the article in the show notes below. So this is a pretty big story because Tarantino has actually been shopping this film to a lot of different companies to see who's going to give him the best deal for this 9th picture that he's doing. And the deal that Sony landed was so good, apparently he was like, okay, the search is done. Let's go ahead and sign with these guys and let's get this movie made. Now, I had to take some notes on this one because the deal that he got with Sony that's being reported in this article is pretty impressive, to say the least. So I'm just going to read off some of what he got for Sony, which is why he decided to go with them over the other competitors. Got it on my notepad here. The Sony deal includes a $95 million production budget. He gets final cut, so it's his version of the film that's going to be released in theaters. He has the final say, which is huge. And, quote, extraordinary creative control. So whatever that means for a Tarantino movie. So he's got final say on the movie, on what ships to theaters. And then he has this extraordinary creative control, which is good for him. And then 25% of first dollar gross, and the film rights revert back to him after 10 to 20 years. So that is huge. Especially that 25% first dollar gross, because that means he's getting paid before anybody's getting paid, if I understand that correctly, which I believe I do. If I don't, sound off in the comments below. But 25% of first money is, especially when you look at his film, like his last film, making hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, he's getting right off the top, here is your paycheck, 25%. That is dynamic, to say the least. The other things are really nice, especially as a creator and as an artistic visionary that he is, to have the creative say, the extraordinary creative control, and also to have final say. Here's the final cut of the movie. This is what people are going to see in the theaters, like you and I. That's big. So it makes perfect sense to me why Tarantino decided to go with Sony when he's getting this amazing deal. Sound off below with your thoughts. Josh Gad, Luke Evans, and Daisy Ridley will be starring in the film SuperNormal that Netflix has picked up. SuperNormal is described as a character-driven, subversive take on a genre that Hollywood and the rest of the world loves too much. When I read this, I'm a little defensive, if that makes sense, because it feels like what they're saying is they're going to be poking fun at subversively comic book movies and hero stories, which I'm not really okay with. Like, my initial reaction is like, wait, whoa, the defenses go up, and I'm like, what? What are you doing? Why are we making this movie? Like, why are you intentionally jabbing at films that are making money? So when you have these movies, these superhero genres, if you will, making hundreds of millions of dollars, then you're gonna just slide in and just kind of poo-poo on the whole thing. I'm not digging that. That vibe is not with me. I'm out. However, benefit of the doubt, because we really don't know much about this, let's assume that they're not going to be attacking this very financially successful, this very lucrative genre of films, and they're not going to be going after the people like you and I who really enjoy these types of films. Let's assume, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and maybe they're going to make it something similar to like Mystery Men from the 90s, or what Galaxy Quest was for like Star Trek fans, right? Where it's just a lighthearted comedic look at a specific type of film without necessarily like jabbing it and trying to poo-poo on the whole thing. So if it's something like that, where it's just kind of like a fun look and a fun take on a film style that we really enjoy, sign me up. I'm on board. Let's do this right now. Let's get this made today. If it's not, if they are just going to poo-poo on the whole thing, there's the door. Boy, bye. You need to leave. You're making money. People are making money. Everybody's happy. The studios are happy. They're making money. The actors are happy because you guys are making money. And the fans are happy because we're finally getting to see these characters that we really love and that most of us grew up with, many of us grew up with, come to life on the big screen with the effects and everything else that actually look good and are respectable to a point for these characters that are being pulled from page to screen. I'm looking forward to getting more information on this and like what this story is going to be. So I'm hoping in my heart this is going to be something fun that they're just kind of like goofing around with. Like I said, like a Mystery Men movie, or like what Galaxy Quest is, because Galaxy Quest is still a really good movie. This film still holds up. So as more news drops on this film, as it's getting ready to drop on Netflix, hopefully it's good news and it's positive and we can all get excited about it. Movie Pass is at it again. They have dropped the monthly price to $6.95 a month for a limited time. Link for their website in the show notes below. I saw this and I almost fell right out of this office chair. I was typing up the show notes for the segment and I was like, is this for real? And I pulled it up and I was like, yes, this is for real. But let me go ahead and just clear this up real quick before you get super excited and you rush to the link below and you sign up. So what they did, so initially, right, if you've been following Movie Pass, it's like a Netflix subscription style for theater going. So what that means is you sign up for their monthly fee, they send you a card, a Movie Pass card, you use that card to go see your movies that are in theaters right now. And that's it. You don't have to pay anything on that card. It's already taken care of with a monthly subscription, and it's one movie a day, 365 days a year. So you can literally see one movie a day without having to pay anything more than the monthly fee. Like I said, it's like Netflix, but going to the movies. So initially, I think it was like 50 bucks a month. And then they were like, okay, let's just drop it down to 10 bucks a month. And they literally had an influx of traffic that was so great. Their website was crashing. They had super delayed processing to get these cards, these Movie Pass cards, out to the people who purchased them. And now they're like, okay, for a limited time, let's go ahead and drop it down to $6.95. So let's say $7 a month for a limited time for the holidays, right? Now, before you're like, $7 a month is amazing. It is amazing. You're absolutely correct. However, in the fine print in the article I read, it says that you have to sign up for the full year up front. So if you can't do the full year, you might miss out on the opportunity. But if you can afford the full year and just get it out of the way, then you, just like myself, because I'm now a proud subscriber to Movie Pass with this $7 a month, can sign up. They'll send you the card, and then you use that card to see as many movies as you want, up to 365 times. So one a day, that's what the cap is. You can only see one movie a day. But if Star Wars, when that comes out, if you want to see it 3 days in a row, you can see Star Wars 3 days in a row using your Movie Pass, and you're only paying the 1 month. Yes, this does feel like a giant commercial for Movie Pass. I get it. But I literally saw that. I was like, there's no way this is for real. $50 to $10 to $7 blew me away. I signed up. Check out the link below if you want more information on Movie Pass. You can also find it on their website, which you'll get to from the link. More news for Netflix, as they have acquired the rights to the animated family film Klaus from Despicable Me co-creator Sergio Pablos. This will be Sergio's directorial debut. The film is in production, and Netflix plans to roll it out Christmas of 2019. So I'm completely unfamiliar with Klaus right before this. So I had to look it up to see what this was and why this was a big deal. And apparently, outside of the fact that it's going to be Sergio's directorial debut, which is always cool to see like new directors coming out and trying new things with their visions. That's always hip. We hope the movie lands and it's entertaining because we have never seen their style of storytelling before. So outside of that, Klaus is a story about a postman who suddenly brings on the beginning of Santa Claus. Sure. Why not? I mean, that sounds crazy enough, right? So it sounds like it could be a fun family animated thing. It's titled as a family animated Christmas movie. So hopefully when this drops and we can kind of see like what his vision is, especially with it being Netflix and coming out around Christmas time, it is a little interesting that for Netflix, where they've already started production right now in 2017, and the film's not coming out until Christmas of 2019 on Netflix. So that was a little surprising to me. I figured if they're already in production, since it's animated, they may be able to roll it out for 2018, but I guess it's going to be 2019, so we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully as new stuff drops and we get to see kind of snippets and trailers and stuff like that for it, that'll be pretty cool. Hopefully Netflix does like a nice rollout to actually like highlight what this movie is going to be about and the tone that we can expect, even though it's probably going to be lighthearted because it's a family animated film. It's going to be a fresh story. We're going to get something brand new for the family to enjoy at Christmas time from a director that worked on Despicable Me, who co-created it, and now is going to deliver something brand new and fresh to us and our families at Christmas time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything looks good and the story makes sense and stuff like that. So come Christmas time when we're all snuggled up with family and loved ones, we can all kick back, turn on Netflix, and enjoy this flick as a fun holiday event. Honorable mentions this week. Rampage has released a new poster and trailer. Star Wars The Last Jedi has released new TV spots. All the Money in the World released a new movie poster. New trailers dropped for both Deadpool 2 and Incredibles 2. James Franco is in talks to star in the spin-off movie Multiple Man from the X-Men universe over at Fox. And that pretty much wraps up the news this week. If anything popped off in the news that we didn't cover on this show, because as I always say, there's too much news to cover in one show. So if anything popped off that you saw, that you enjoyed, or you want to talk about, throw it in the comments below and get that conversation started, and we can talk movies all week long. We're gonna move now into the movie review segment. I was able to get out to the theater to see one movie, and that was Justice League. In advance, I do want to let you know that this is a spoiler-filled review. Spoiler-filled, lots of spoilers. Spoiler City, population us, okay? If you haven't seen Justice League, you may want to skip past it and go to the Before We Conclude segment, which follows right after the review, and then you can pick right back up there, or just come back after you've seen Justice League and finish this episode at that time. All right, let's go ahead and roll to this spoiler-filled review of Justice League. It's time to unite the 7. Or 5. Or 6 if we assume that one hero won't be dead the whole movie. At any rate, some of the biggest names the DC Comics and Warner Brothers has to offer are coming together for the very first time on the big screen. The production was troubled from almost the very beginning, as story after story continued to drop in the news, signaling that this film was going to be a disaster. So, does Justice League deliver on a story that will make us as fans happy, or did the Super Friends have to call in sick? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. First, the story is written well enough so that while we're not getting every single detail, we get enough detail so that we can kind of piece things together with our own minds, because they aren't spoon feeding us every single detail. We get backstories on each of the heroes, and we get enough of a backstory to understand their initial reluctance and then the reasoning for why they would come together to join up and actually stop the villain Steppenwolf in this film. Additionally, we're also given brief little moments peppered throughout the film that show the heroes actually bonding and getting to know each other as a team. And finally, each hero, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Batman, each have a special moment on screen to showcase their unique abilities and what they bring to the Justice League. Now, no movie is complete without a villain, and I'm happy to say that the villain gets the same respect from the writers. We get just enough backstory to actually understand who Steppenwolf is as a villain, what the mother boxes are, how he acquires parademons, which are his minions, and why he's come to Earth to lead a full-on conquest of the planet. This movie is quick, paced as well. So if you blink anything, you might miss it. But I believe that actually played to this film's strength to deliver the story at a very rapid pace. But there's two sides to every coin. And because the film is so quick paced and it's just around 2 hours, some of the backstory on the characters is a little thin. While we do get their motivation, as I just mentioned, we don't really get a rich, deep look at the characters. A lot of what we get is very high level and very surface level with respect to each of the main characters, the worlds they come from, and the villain. In this film, you get the necessary information only, and that works. However, I would have liked to get a little bit more from some of the newer characters, specifically Cyborg and Flash. Unfortunately, this film is not 100%. There are some weak spots in the story, and specifically the biggest weak point in this film is the special effects and the CGI. Now, while they aren't great, they also aren't terrible, because there are moments that actually looked really good and how they designed it and what the special effects team and the director were able to come up with for this film. Specifically, when we see the Flash running at his Flash speed, and he's moving so fast, things look like they're in slow motion. I love the crisp detail, and I loved how the lightning looked as he was moving. Also, Cyborg, when his body restructures and his arm can turn into a gun, or towards the end when we see his suit morph. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I thought the visual design of his character specifically actually looked really good. However, the parts of this film that deal with the special effects and the CGI for the majority of the film did look awful. And those scenes where we have these giant epic battles, like that flashback scene where we find out who Steppenwolf is, the first time he's come to Earth and how he was defeated. Also towards the end of the film when the parademons are going crazy and they're attacking the Justice League as Wonder Woman and Aquaman are fighting side by side to stop Steppenwolf, the special effects and the visual design were really not great. In fact, it kind of looks something similar to the Warcraft movie or the new King Arthur movie. And for a movie like Justice League with the budget that it had, I would have liked to see a little bit more attention paid in these specific areas. However, this doesn't ruin the film for me, and it just made me go, oh, well, at least they're filling in the story and they're filling in the gaps of the plot so that this film actually makes sense from beginning to end. Also, in all honesty, it was kind of cool, even though it didn't look great. It was still kind of cool to see the Amazons, the Atlanteans, the humans, the Greek gods, and one Green Lantern all fighting on Earth to stop Steppenwolf on his first invasion. Plus, we get to see how he creates parademons. And while again, that didn't look great, it still was pretty cool to see it so we understand what these monsters are in the film. In all, though, this film felt like the writers sat down and they went backstory upon backstory and they wrote up 130% of the story, and then they delivered 75 to 80% of what they wrote. It almost felt like they had 5 hours worth of movie, and then they turned around and they're like, okay, here's the movie in a tweet. Okay, that's probably a gross exaggeration on my part, but I do truly believe there was so much more to this story than what was actually put to film. I'm actually very excited about the Blu-ray special edition if they release it with all of the extra footage to see what was cut out that may have fleshed out some of the backstory a little bit more on these characters. Also, one of the nice touches in this film, outside of the story and the characters, is how well they did little things like humor and the score, or the music for this movie. We get the old Batman theme from Tim Burton's Batman. And it's just these little touches that are happening throughout in the background that really elevate the overall enjoyment for me as a movie fan. And I'm sure if you're noticing them, it'll elevate it just a little bit more for you too. Plus, there's a decent amount of humor in this so that the film, while it is dealing with a villain who wants to create an apocalyptic planet, it's still lighthearted enough and enjoyable enough because of some of the back and forth banter that was written for these characters. Justice League is in your local theater right now, and I am definitely going to recommend that you guys head out to your local cinema house and you check this out. This is definitely a big screen movie. It's a quick-paced, brief story about good guys fighting a bad guy, and the good guys save the day. But that's not to suggest that the way they beat the villain is a stereotypical heroes beat bad guy ending. They didn't come out and beat him by sheer force and numbers, as they outnumbered him 6-1. Yes, you heard me right, 6-1. And yes, by the end of the film, we find out that Superman does come back, he suits up, and he helps put the kibosh on Steppenwolf with Aquaman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Cyborg, and Batman. Now, one big positive to the story that may have been my favorite aspect aspect of the story is the manner in which the villain is defeated. We have these heroes going up against him toe to toe. Wonder Woman and Aquaman, Cyborg and the Flash, Batman, then Superman. They don't beat him by their sheer numbers or by how strong they are. They actually give us a little bit of a twist, and I really appreciated that aspect of the film a lot. Steppenwolf rules by fear. His parademons feed on fear, and we find this out immediately in the movie with the very first scene that Batman's in, which, by the way, I thought set the tone for this movie brilliantly, and I actually really liked the opening scene that Batman's in. So by the end, we see that the tables are turned in a very poetic manner, because as Steppenwolf realizes he's about to be defeated for a second time, he starts to become fearful because he knows he's going to have to return to his home planet, and when he returns defeated, things will probably not go so well for him. So as the fear inside him begins to build up, the parademons stop attacking the Justice League, and they actually turn their attention on their leader, because again, these are just mindless creatures that feed on fear, and as soon as Steppenwolf is afraid, they attack. The ending alone I thought was probably one of the best aspects of the film, because again, it was very poetic. You have a villain who rules by fear that is defeated by fear. Also, with the cameo that we have with the Green Lantern, if it's the Green Lantern I'm thinking of, who actually has a ring that's immune to the color yellow, which is the color of fear, it made his performance as a villain, Steppenwolf's performance as the villain, even more monstrous to me as a comic book fan. Because when he defeats that ancient Green Lantern, and you know that if that's the guy that can beat the color yellow, but then he gets destroyed by a guy who rules with fear, I thought that was very powerful. And it actually elevated my enjoyment of the villain character, despite his visual look, a lot more. Justice League is at your local movie theater right now, and I'm definitely recommending that you get off the couch, out of your chair, put down your phone, get in your car, call an Uber, and drive or ride your way to your local movie theater to check out this film. It's a thin story, it's quick-paced with an offbeat ending that's surprising and enjoyable, and for that reason, it's getting at least one high five from this guy. Justice League is in theaters right now. Check it out. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what movies are dropping at your local movie theaters this weekend. Coco, The Man Who Invented Christmas, Roman J. Israel, Esquire. All right, so out of these three, the one that's like the highest ranked for me as far as excitement goes is going to be Roman J. Israel, Esquire. That's the one where I'm like, I really want to get out to the theaters to see this one. And Coco looks like it could be really good too. It's Pixar, and Pixar always does a really good job with films. The Man Who Invented Christmas, I'm not really all that familiar with, so I mean, if the trailers come out and I watch it and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what this is, because I haven't even seen a trailer for it at this point. But if I see a trailer and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, then I'll probably check it out. But as far as like the three movies coming out, Roman J. Israel, Esquire is up there. All right, let's take a look at what's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater. Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, Leap, The Hitman's Bodyguard, Good Time. So two of these movies I have seen and I did a review for. So out of these four, now I've heard really good things about Good Time, but I heard it was really dark. Leap, I heard was okay. I didn't get around to seeing it, but now that it's on DVD and Blu-ray, I might check it out, like Redbox it for $1 or something. Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, now that it's on DVD and Blu-ray, it's probably gonna be worth your time. This movie wasn't terrible, but the dialogue in it is pretty young adults. So it's not, this is what we're saying, this is the dialogue. There's not really a lot of depth to the dialogue. It's just pretty straightforward and in your face. I would say that the writing for the dialogue portion, not the story, but the dialogue portion was the weakest aspect, because I thought the writing for the story was actually done fairly well, because they actually build out a world that I was unfamiliar with, and I thought they did a pretty good job with it. So you may want to check that movie out, since it's now going to be available on DVD and Redbox, or you can probably stream it too if you don't want to go out and get the physical copy. You can just video on demand it through whatever streaming service you prefer. But it's definitely a fun flick to watch, and the special effects in it look phenomenal. Finally, The Hitman's Bodyguard, I definitely recommend. I had so much fun in that movie. It caught me by surprise, because I thought it was going to be like an action comedy, but I wasn't prepared for how much just great comedy was in this film. This film didn't actually feel like Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson like teaming up to do this like buddy cop thing. It felt like Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson showed up on set and the director went, okay, you guys just be you guys and we'll figure it out. That's what I took away from this movie, is it was just these two guys having fun in an action comedy, and I believe it paid off because I had a really good time in the theater with it. So now that this is on DVD and Blu-ray, I'm definitely getting my physical copy, and I suggest that you guys check this film out either on demand, like a VOD service, however you stream, or you get the physical copy because this was a fun time at the movies. All right, and now it's time for my favorite segment of the show. You never know what is going to be talked about, but we can guarantee that whatever we talk about will be certified rad. So last week for Certified Rad, we did a Christmas wish for a sick child who's dying from cancer. So if you want to go back, you can go ahead and check out that video right here. It's just that segment, and that'll actually show you the way to get your Christmas card to him, hopefully in time. But definitely check that out and send off that handmade card. But this week, the Certified Rad is going to continue in the Christmas theme, because this is also another time-sensitive Certified Rad segment. So Jason Inman, who I've actually had the pleasure of meeting once or twice, really nice guy, and he's with Geek History Lesson Podcast. He also does some stuff on Collider, and he is DC All Access. So he's very invested in this community of movie lovers, movie watchers, and comic book fans, right? He does a comic drive for soldiers. And what this is it's an opportunity for us to give something to the soldiers for the holidays. And it's more than just active duty. And I don't want to take anything away from it, because I do think that it's important that the message is relayed correctly and that you get all of the information. So I reached out to Jason on Twitter and got his permission to use his video. So thank you, Jason, for that. And right now, we're gonna go ahead and cut to his video that's going to detail for you how you guys and myself can give something back to the soldiers for the holiday season. Let's roll to that video. Check this out.
Hey super friends, I'm Jason Inman, and did you know that comic books were once used as morale boosters for troops overseas? That's a true fact, and in honor of that, I am announcing that I am running again the Jawan Comic Drive for Soldiers 2017. Over the last 2 years, with your help and various comic book companies and comic stores, we sent over 70,000 comic books to soldiers overseas and at home. And this year, we're gonna send another slice of nerdiness right to those troops to show them how much we care. I'm teaming up for the second year in a row with the amazing Operation Gratitude for the Comic Drive. With their help, we're gonna try to send from November 1st to November 30th, 22,000 comic books to soldiers overseas and at home and their families. Last year we asked for only 20,000, but this year I really think we can beat that number. If you don't know, every year Operation Gratitude sends over 200,000 individually addressed care packages to soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines deployed overseas, and to their children left behind. Also to new recruits, veterans, first responders, wounded heroes, and their caregivers. Each package contains food, hygiene products, entertainment, and handmade items, as well as personal letters of support. Their mission is to help lift the spirits of soldiers that are serving our country, and we're going to help them do that by sending them some comic books. But first, before I give you the details, I have a special guest. DC publisher Dan DiDio is here to join me to help kick off the 2017 Jawan Comic Drive for Soldiers. So Dan, thanks again for helping us kick off the Jawan Comic Drive for Soldiers. Now, why is it so important for you and DC Comics to help out this amazing cause?
Well, you know, listen, the soldiers are out there protecting us day in and day out, and I think that can never be forgotten. And I mean, this year, there's been so many crazy tragedies and so much natural disaster that was going on, and we've been hearing so many things that really bring our attention and focus to other places. But I think it's important to always remember the troops, and it's important for DC to participate in this. And because of that, I think we're really excited, because in past years we've donated about 5,000 books, and we're actually doubling that amount. What? And we're pushing out 10,000 books for you guys.
Are these all coming from your personal garage?
No, mostly. Some in my closet,
That's
some in my garage.
That's an amazing donation. You doubled it. That's a fantastic, man.
And it just shows the level of commitment we have for this cause, and to you guys, to you really, for pulling it all together.
Now, I have to ask, do you find that when you go out to all the comic book conventions and the comic book shops, are a lot of soldiers comic book fans?
You know what, I love going to the conventions and I love meeting the people, and yes, we're meeting more and more soldiers at these shows, and I can't even begin to express the level of appreciation they have for the material they got and how much they enjoy the books while they're overseas. As a matter of fact, I brought this out, and this is actually a coin that was given to me from a member of the Marine Corps, and it was something that he had earned as being a Marine, but he felt it was so important to give this to me because he said, you know, for all the joy all our books give him, he wanted to give us something back that meant a lot in return. So I carry this always with me because of that.
Well, Dan, on behalf of all the troops out there, thank you so much for your donation of 10,000 comic books from DC Comics.
It's great, and I'm really glad to be participating again this year. Thanks again.
Thank you so much to DC Comics for that generous donation. Now, I can tell you from firsthand account that these soldiers are going to love receiving these comic books. Operation Gratitude told me that many of the care packages that were sent out last year that had comic books in them, these soldiers were excited to see comic books inside. And I'll tell you, I was once a soldier. I once received the care package overseas while I was deployed in Iraq that had a comic book in it. It was an Adventures of Superman. And I gotta tell you, it was one of the best surprises that I had the entire year of my deployment. So if you want to help us reach our 22,000 comic book goal, here are some of the details. But first, I want to just point out, don't send any old dusty comic book that you have in your long boxes. If you wouldn't read that comic book yourself, please don't send it to a soldier. Okay, now here are the details. Number 1, fill out the donation form at the link in the description. Make sure you put John Comic Drive for Soldiers in the group title and the Comic Drive email on the form. The rest of the form is pretty self-explanatory. 2, box and ship the comics and the donation form to Operation Gratitude, 21100 Lassen Street, Chatsworth, California, 91311. Please include a donation form in every box, even if they're part of the same donation, because sometimes the cartons don't all arrive at the same time. And 3, you need to send a picture of your comics and the number of books you are donating to johnwinComicDrive@gmail.com. If you don't send your number to that email, I'll have an inaccurate count and then the drive could fail. And we don't want that because we want to make sure these soldiers get some comics for the new year. So there are all the details. Please send in as many comic books as you can. Let's bring a little happiness, a little joy to all the servicemen that put their lives on the line for all of us in the United States every single day. If the least we can do is give them a comic book, it's the best thing we could do all year. So if you're looking for a nerdy way to give this holiday, the John Comic Drive for Soldiers is here to help you out. Let's send 22,000 comic books to soldiers overseas, and they're gonna have them by January 1st. I'm Jason Inman, and thanks for donating.
So I hope everybody enjoyed that video. Again, thank you, Jason, for allowing us to use that and to also spread the good word about helping soldiers and first responders and everyone else that you described in that video for the holidays. So I hope everybody's got their comics ready. I know I'm gonna start going through my collection to get this sent out before the deadline hits. I did it last year, so it's always a good cause. Definitely check it out because helping those who serve and protect our freedoms and our first responders is most definitely certified rad. All right, and that wraps up this week's show. I want to thank everybody so much for watching another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. If you enjoyed any portion of this show, as always, please do give me that thumbs up because the thumbs up actually helps other people who are interested in movies and movie-related shows find us on YouTube. Also, if you haven't, now would be a great time to click that subscribe button. That way you can make sure that you are guaranteed to get every bit of news, movie reviews, and a little bit more that we drop on this channel once it's available. All right, everybody, I hope you guys have a great week. And for everybody here in America, I hope you guys have a very, very happy Thanksgiving with friends, family, and loved ones. We will see you guys next Monday for a brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great week. Hi, I'm Jeremy Brunansky, and you've just finished watching another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Along with the weekly show, we also have special segments, as well as DVD and video on-demand reviews that you may want to check out. Thank you so much for watching this brand new episode, and we'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST for another brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.